Alright guys, so today I'm going to be tying this. It's called a Western Coachman, and I'm actually tying it for a customer. He had asked for these. Now this is the dry version. I've actually only ever seen these a wet version, or kind of like an emerging type, without the hackle on the front. Usually it's like a soft hackle with the wing over it. But this is hackle on the front, so this will be like a dry. That's what he had requested. He says he has really good luck with it. But yeah, just basically a Western Coachman, but dry. So figured I'd tie it for you guys. There's a few materials that some of you might have, some of you might not. By the way, I am using barbless hook here. You could always go with Risen. I think those are great hooks for the money. I am actually using fire hole sticks here, and the reason why is because I'm selling them, and they're kind of like a luxury type hook. They're super high end. Nothing wrong with Risen. And in fact, Risen is very high end as well, especially their barbless. Their barbless dry fly hook is really, really good. I use it myself, but because I'm selling these, I'm using the fire hole sticks. So start some thread. I've got a Vivus 10-aught in black, and then I've got this. It's golden pheasant. Okay. These barbulars they're really interesting. They've got like fuzzy right up here, fuzzy tip, and at the back, and the rest of it is kind of smooth. So you want this to extend about as long as the hook, right? So right about there. Go ahead and tie that in. I'm gonna uncord my thread, make it a little flatter. And to save time, if you didn't notice, I clipped it off while it was uncording. The little things like that help saving time, right? So, all right. So then I've got some small-sized gold wire. Okay, and we are going to attach that on. And if you notice, I've got it just coming right up to here. Everything, I'm giving a little space at the front. I didn't even start my thread at the front, at the eye of the hook. If you notice, I stepped it back, just so that way I've got some more room there when tying at the front, because we're stacking on some material, so I want to make sure that's nice and thin up there. All right, so Peacock Curl. I got 2 strands here. This is a size 12, by the way, but I got 2 strands of Peacock Curl. I clipped the tip off. The tips are a little fragile. I'm just going to capture that, bring it back most of the way. I'm going to pull this spool of wire out of the way. I'm going to spin my thread once more. Just to flatten it, so that we have a nice flat thread. And then I'm going to bring my thread up just a little ways, just slightly. You'll see why in a second. I'm going to start wrapping this Peacock Curl. Oop, this is getting in my way. All right. So I've got the lights super tight to this. The lights get in my way. Same with the spools right now. I'm just, don't mind me, guys. And so as you can see now, this is making it a little more dense as I come up further once I hit the thread. So the thread is actually pushing everything together and making this a denser abdomen. It's kind of forming almost an automatic taper. So a couple, 3 turns one in front, and then you can just kind of yank it off like I did there. All right, and then we're going to rib this with the wire, going the opposite direction. So as I'm going counterclockwise here. All right, so then you capture it. The problem is when you go counterclockwise, you're going to end up unraveling the thread or the wire when you helicopter it off. So what I do is I pull up a little bit and I pull this back and wrap over top of, back over the wire this way, so it kind of creates like an angle there, and I can helicopter it off and it all stays. All right, there we go. So there's the body. Now I've got some deer hair. This is belly hair. This is made for like spinning. This is what I use for spinning hair, and that'll work. You want something that is hollow. It'll float. It's okay to flare. It's actually good. Kind of want this to flare a little, so this will work. I think traditionally, I forgot even what section they use normally, but this works great, and I think this is more readily available. I'm gonna stack it. You can see it's all nice and stacked. Perfect stack, and you want this to reach back to about where the end of the abdomen there. Make 2 wraps and then tighten, and tighten again. And then I go through, I don't know if you saw that, but through a little bit of that, and that'll help keep this from rotating. And then I come back up once. All right, and you can see that flares it quite a bit. And then try to get the whole stack. Here. And then cut at an angle. And then tie back down on top of this, and you're kind of creating a nice ramp there in a way. Some of the strands get a little funky. And this did rotate a little bit on me, and that's okay. So you can see how it's kind of coming down on the other side here, and you don't really want that. It's okay partially, but there's too many, so I'm just gonna trim off some of them. That's okay to do. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and come back up a little bit to give ourselves, that might be too much. Give ourselves some room to tie in our hackle. So this is Coachman brown. And I always pull off a little bit, leave myself some bare stem. And then I tie this in perpendicular. So just at the stem. So I do a figure 8, okay? And it kind of keeps it flat that way. I pull everything back, and it's going to be hard to see, but you can see that little piece of stem there. I tie that so it's angled flat, okay? And that will never, at that point, this isn't going to pull out, okay? Excuse that. Car backfiring. I don't know if you heard that. Super loud. So there's 3 and 4 turns. And then a lot of people have trouble with hackle, and sometimes I do too. Okay, but if you come forward, if you take the thread and come underneath, you pull this upward, you come underneath it, right? Keep that out at an angle and hold it with the other hand. And as long as you come over it the right way, you'll see. So I do one wrap and then one wrap without over it. You can see that that started to, here, let's try this again. I'm so used to doing this without trying to hold it for a period of time. So what you want is you still want to keep this nice and tight, right? So you don't want this to unravel. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, one wrap, and then I go under it again, and that will hold it pretty tight. Then you can come in, cut that off tight, and then there's always going to be a couple strands that are sticking out. You could either trim those off or pull them back and go back up over it. I tend to try to go back up over it. Okay. That's how I do hackle. 4 or 5 turn whip finish, and then you can kind of pinch. If you ever have it kind of wrapped over the eye a little bit, especially with these that have a lot of stuff at the front, you can kind of pinch and then set it, and that's not going to go anywhere, and that'll keep it up off the eye, create a nice little bulky front head. There we go. And then, oh, sorry, I knocked my my mic. All right, there we go. Hopefully that'll stay. Maybe you hear me even better now. So head cement, I'm using the water-based head cement by Loon. I like it. It's good stuff. And basically, doesn't matter if it gets in the eye, you'll see in a second. So this is all in the eye. It's covered up the eye, but it's completely soaked in to that whip finish. And then you just snap it and it's out of the eye. That's how I do that. There we go, Western Coachman. Kind of a fun little fly to tie. And with the deer hair and the hackle, I'm sure this will float pretty well. I've done a little bit of tests. I did, on the first one, it floated quite well, even without floating. Tried to push it down, and it came right back up. But I'm sure after a little while, it'll get waterlogged. So definitely use floatant. It's definitely one of those. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. And one of my tying sessions. Again, this is not a full-on tying video. I like to do voiceovers for my tying videos, but with COVID, it's hard to do that, right? I don't know if you can hear that. Maybe with this mic, it's a little better, but my kids, a lot of screaming in the background here. Just heard them do a scream, so it really is difficult to try to do a voiceover and keep them clean. So anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Go check out Risen stuff. They have great beads and hooks and rods and reels and just great stuff. They do sponsor me, but I'm very picky. Okay, so I will only kind of promote places that I feel have great stuff, and they do. So go check them out, www.risenfly.com. Use my discount code, guys. It's McFly. So just type in McFly when you check out. you'll get 15% off if you use my discount code. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video on the Western Coachman. Thank you for watching, and you guys go now and catch some fish.